To the Minister of Energy, the auditor quite is objected. She's saying you guys wrestled yourself to the ceiling. You took.
I'm sorry. I do need clarification. You said 2 ministers, energy. Thank you.
Yeah. So let me do this all over again. It's pretty clear what the auditor was saying this morning. She was saying that this government wrestled itself to the ceiling when it came to a settlement with TCE. You took the most expensive route in order to settle this thing where you could have got out for absolutely nothing. So the question is, why did the Premier, the current Premier today, sign a cabinet document back then that led to us having to pay these people over $685 million?
Mr. Speaker, I think he just asked the same question. It had to do with the Premier signing with respect to the arbitration agreement. So I want to repeat the answer, Mr. Speaker. The arbitration agreement reflected promises that had already been made in the OPA's termination letter to TransCanada Energy on October 7, 2010. And the Auditor General this morning said the agreement just reiterated the original letter sent from the OPA to TransCanada. And so, and as I said, the energy critic for the NDP said, I don't see a smoking gun. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you. Supplementary.
The fact is, your Premier, Kathleen Wynne, signed an arbitration agreement on behalf of Cabinet. That is what led to the settlement. If the government had chose to do nothing and allowed force majeure, or to allow that contract to end as it naturally would have in 2016, you would have not had to pay what you did. So I ask you again, how can you stand in this House today and say that you guys did what was best for the people of the province of Ontario when it came to the settlement of this contract?
Just a minute. I remind the member and all members to use either the title or their writing, please. Carry on.
Mr. Speaker, the question is directed to the activities of the Premier. And Mr. Speaker, this Premier, the first opportunity she
Member
returned
from
to the
Renfrew,
legislature,
come to
Mr.
order.
Speaker,
Second
she
time.
reconvened the committee. Secondly, she directed all of her ministries, which had never been asked for before, to make documents available that were asked for by the committee. Mr. Speaker, that resulted in well over 160,000 documents coming to the committee. Unprecedented offer from the Premier was to open up the documents and papers in the Premier's office. I believe it was the first time in the history of this Parliament, Mr. Speaker, and 30,000 pages of documents from the Premier's office. She was open, she was transparent, she was upfront, she was honest, she showed tremendous leadership on this issue, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you. Final supplementary.
Some leadership, it cost us $685 million. The point is, your member from Mississauga-Streetsville this morning at committee was trying to say that the auditor based all of her findings on her assumptions. Now, the auditor, being a very clever person, knowing her job, said that was not the fact. In fact, her findings are based on fact. So it's clear that your Premier, you as Minister of Energy, and along with the rest of this government, is trying to basically not accept what the auditor had to say. Why are you fighting what the auditor had to say and trying to say that these are all assumptions, where in fact they're all fact?